paper. And then from there, then you can actually make a decision on which questions you are going to answer. Section A, remember section A comprises of 30 marks, and of which section A, it is very compulsory. So when it comes to section B, you are given 3 questions, and the expectation is to select only 2 questions, of which 1 question carries 40 marks. So now, if you select 2, you're actually going to have 80 marks in section B. And then section C consists of 2 questions, of which 1 question carries 40 marks. Then you're expected to select only 1 question. Okay. So now, section A, let's start with section A. Question 1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only a letter A to D next to the question numbers. So you're actually given there an example of 1.1.1 up until 1.1.5 in your answer book, e.g. 1.1.6D. So in most cases, I always, grade 12s, advise my learners that when they are answering multiple choice questions, they should engage in a method that is called elimination method. Don't just go straight to any letter that you think this one is the correct one. No, make sure that you compare all the given options. After the comparison of the given options, then you cancel them out bit by bit or one by one up until you are remaining with the correct answer. Because in most cases, you find that some of the answers, they are pretty close to one another. And that's where you actually miss it if you don't deeply think of it. Okay, right. So 1.1.1, business leaders use the dash theory to analyze the business objectives in order to adapt to a suitable leadership style. So now, because of a word suitable, so it means that this involves different situations. So now, if this involves different situations, it means that a leader should come up with a style that suits the situation that is actually prevailing at that particular time period. So in this regard, our correct option is going to be option B. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.1.2. 1.1.2 reads as follows. A number of investments are pulled together into a portfolio that is managed by an expert. This refers to what we call unit trust. Okay, right. So now, moving on to the next question. Next question, we have 1.1.3. So now 1.1.3 reads as follows. Bonner decided to dash as he prepared for his presentation to stakeholders. So now the options that are actually given, we have respond politely to questions from the audience, speak with energy and enthusiasm, rehearse information repeatedly to gain confidence, or the last one, encourage questions from the audience. So now if we check the question says, Bonner decided to dash as he prepared for his presentation. Meaning if you check these options given, these options from A, B, they actually address when the presentation has actually been done or still during the presentation. While in actual fact, the question needs the preparation that should actually be done. So meaning here, grade 12s, you must check what first the preparation should be because of this word. Okay, right. Encourage questions from the audience. Also, this one can actually contribute towards after the presentation. So now, before wasting any time, Bonner decided to rehearse information repeatedly to gain confidence. Remember, when you're going to administer a presentation, you should first prepare your presentation. And after the preparation of the presentation, you should actually make sure that you also rehearse what you have gathered as an information or data. So meaning the correct answer for this 1.3, we have C as the correct answer. Okay, right. So grade 12, let's move on to 1.1.4. 1.1.4 reads as follows. Managers deal with dash as a diversity issue by appointing an interpreter to facilitate a common understanding amongst members in a meeting. So now the options given, we have language, we have age, we have gender, we have culture. So now, this manager deal with this as a diversity issue by appointing an interpreter to facilitate a common understanding amongst the members in the meeting. So now what actually is being interpreted here? We can't interpret the age, we can't interpret the gender, we can't interpret the culture. What is actually being interpreted is the language, because some of the people don't understand a certain language. That is why the interpreter is actually required at some certain stage. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.1.5. 1.1.5 reads as follows. One, a leader should be firm and assertive when dealing with the dash as a type of difficult personality. Remember, at the workplace, there are different people who do possess different personalities. Other people, they always complain every day. Other people, they are always quiet, even if they have problems regarding the business or the institution. So now, a leader should be firm and assertive when dealing with the dash as a type of difficulty person. So now, in this regard, we are saying that there should be what? This should be an expect. The correct answer is an expect. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next question. We are still on question 1. So now question 1.2. Remember, you're actually given or faced with different set of concepts in this regard. So make sure that before you can jump onto answers, go through concept by concept to understand what they do mean. Because sometimes, as I said earlier in this presentation, that most of these questions or most of these answers, they are more or less the same. That is why it actually needs someone who is very smart when it comes to administering these types of questions. Okay, right. So now 1.2 reads as follow: complete different statements by using the words provided in the list below. So write only a words next to the question number. You are given an example there, 1.2.1 to 1.2.5 in the answer book. So now the words given in that box, we have collaboration, we have creative thinking, we have public, we have employees, we have compensation fund, we have shared values, we have decision making, we have health, and then safety representatives, we have private, we have unemployment insurance fund. So the first question reads as follows. The employer is the only one who contributes monthly payments to the compensation fund. So now this one, the correct answer here is compensation fund. Unlike UIF, where also the employee as well is expected to contribute something, 1% employee under UIF, an employee is expected to also contribute 1%, and the employer also contribute 1%. So all in all, the institution will contribute something like 2%. But now when it comes to compensation fund, only the employer compensate. Only the employer contribute. So here we are saying that the correct answer here is compensation fund. Right. So now let's move on to 1.1.6. 2.2. The dash company offers shares to people by issuing a prospectus. So now, this one that issues a prospectus and actually giving out the shares to people, in most cases, we refer to it as a public company. So meaning here we have public company. Public company. Never mind about the kind of handwriting. I'm really sorry if the handwriting is not legible enough. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 1.2.3. 1.2.3 reads as follow. It reads as follow. The CEO of Mahomet Enterprises follows the dash process when considering various alternatives before choosing the best one. So it means that here they should follow what decision making. They should follow the decision making. Right. So now we have 1.2.4. The role of the dash is to work together with employers to investigate an accidents in the workplace. So meaning here, people can actually be involved in the issue of accidents. They are the ones that fall under the health and safety representatives. So meaning here, the correct answer here is going to be health. Health and safety representatives. Okay, right. So now moving on to the last question under 1.2, we have 1.2.5. 1.2.5 reads as follows. Team members take part in decision-making process, right? This is known as DASH, which is one of the criteria for successful team performance. So meaning in this regard, our answer is going to be collaboration. Right. Thank you very much, grade 12. Let's now move on to the second question, which is 1.1.3. So now 1.3 reads as follow. It reads as follow 1.3. Choose a description from column B that matches a term in column A. So write only a letter A up to J next to the question number. So now we have 1.3.1 to 1.3.5 in the answer book. Each we are actually given 1.3.6, an example as K. So now these types of questions, grade 12s, whenever you attempt this particular type of questions, make sure that in column A, you go through the given set of concepts, and then you understand what those concepts are. You can actually create a picture, a bigger picture that you recall whatsoever that you have been reading, you recall whatsoever that you researched on, also recall whatsoever your teacher did discuss with you in class before you can actually come on column B, because column B, it does contain the features of the concept in column A, and also column B can actually contain the characteristics of column A, or they can contain the definition of column A, or they can contain the functions of column A. So now column B, it needs someone who is very smart in terms of understanding the concepts that do appear in column A. Okay, right. So now we have the first concept, which is 1.3.1. 1.3.1, we have at most good faith, and then 1.3.2, we have the return on the investment, and 1.3.3, we have transactional leadership style, and then 1.3.4, we have the abuse of time. And then 1.3.5, we have the conflict. So now, in most cases, when we talk of the utmost good faith, here we actually check the insured where the insured actually disclose all the relevant information that may affect the extent of the risk. So now, in this regard, our answer for 1.3, our answer for 1.3, we have what? Let's check the options that are given. The options that are given, we have F. Good. So now let's move on to the second concept. Second concept, we have return on the investment. Remember, return on the investment is actually what your principal comes with after that period where you have actually planned to multiply the assets that you actually have, or to multiply the money that you have. So now, in this regard, investors should actually consider the possible crop on the original amount invested. So now, if you check the options given, the appropriate answer for this one of 1.2.3, we have H. Good. So now, moving on to 1.3.3, we have transactional leadership style. So now, remember, grade 12s, you actually did study different types of leadership styles, and you should know the meaning of each and every leadership style, because now these leadership styles, they're actually applicable on different set of scenarios. That is why you should first understand what the leadership style contains or entails. So now this one of transactional leadership style, remember this one, this is where the employer or the CEO or the supervisor normally gives out the rewards after the completion of a task. So now, also, those who do fail to complete a task within the stipulated time period, then in this regard, they actually get the punishment. So now, if we check the option that best suit 1.3.3 is I, where it says a leader rewards employees for meeting deadlines. So meaning in this regard, we have I here is our appropriate answer. Okay, right. Grade 12, let's move on to the next question. Next question or next concept, we have 1.3.4, abuse of work time. So now, remember, abuse of work time is one of the conditions that appear under the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Remember, Basic Conditions of Employment Act is actually the act that shows or govern businesses on how they should day-to-day keep on operation. So now they point out concept or issues like abuse of work time. They also actually take into account forced or child labor, and also they normally take into account the leaves, how the business should actually approach such. Okay, right. So now the appropriate answer for 1.3.4, we have employees take extended lunch breaks. So meaning this is the correct concept, the correct description that suit the concept. Thank you very much. Good. So now we have conflict. Remember, conflict is when there is actually misunderstanding amongst or between different personnel. So in this regard, the conflict here is actually the disagreement. When people do have the disagreement, when people do see in different eyes. So now the appropriate answer here, we have A, that says this agreement between two employees in a workplace. So meaning here, the correct answer we have here is A. A, that reads as follows: a disagreement between two employees in the workplace. So remember, guys, I said it earlier, that whenever you answer this business studies questions, make sure that you read the question, digest the question, before you can jump onto answers. But most of you, grade 12s, you are sort of very slow when it comes to proper styles or proper strategies or proper techniques that you can actually engage in order for you to master these types of questions. Right. So now we are done with section A. So now section A, you already have your 30 marks. So now we should move on to the next question, which is question 2. And this question 2 appears under section B. So remember, under section B, you're actually faced with different set of questions. In total, there are 3, and you're expected to only select 2, of which one question carries 40 marks. So now answer any 2 questions in this section. So note, clearly indicate the question number of each question that you choose. The answer to each question must start on a new page. And this one, you must underline it. It should start on a new page. And most of you grade 12s, I know when it comes to following of instructions, it's a problem. You don't follow instructions. And the following of instructions is one of the exam questions, because the moment you fail to follow instructions, then already you are going to be affected. Okay, right. So now let's jump on to question what? Let's jump on to question 2. Question 2 reads as follows. State any 2 examples of insurance fund. State any 2 examples of insurance fund. So now the examples here, state any 2 examples of insurance risks. So now, insurable risks in this regard, we check which risk do you actually insure. Okay, right. So now, insurable risks. So now you can what? You can insure against what? Theft. And also against what? Also have burglar. And then we also have fire. And we also have what we call storms. Under storms, you can also talk of natural disasters. You can talk of wind. You can talk of rain. You can talk of hail. And also you can actually insure against the damage or loss of assets. You can also insure against the damage or loss of vehicles, against the damage or loss of equipment or buildings or premises or injuries on premises. Also, you can insure against money in transit, and also you can insure against fertility insurance. There are many. I did only point out 4 because the question requires only 4, and also we don't have enough space. The space is very limited. But as I've actually briefed out, we have different set of insurable risks. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 2.2. 2.2 reads as follows. Outline the advantages of government or Republic of South Africa retail savings bond as a form of investment. And if we check the marks, we have 6 marks. So 6 marks, grade 12, remember, it calls for 3 points. So meaning we're actually going to say that interest can be received twice a year. That's the advantage. You receive your interest twice in a year. Another one, interest is usually higher than on fixed deposits. And another one, interest rates are market related and attract more investors. So now we are saying that here, interest we are saying interests can be received twice a year. Okay, right. So that is the first point. The second point, remember we said that interest is usually higher than on fixed deposit. Interest usually higher than on fixed deposits. Right. So now, the third one, sorry, because there's no enough space. The third one, we said interest rates are market related and attract more investors. Interest rate are market related and attract more investors. Okay, right, Grade 12. And we are done with our question 2.2. So in that regard, on this question 2.2, you are in the position now to score yourself. How many marks? Six marks. So now let's move on to the second one. The next question. The next question is 2.3. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So grade 12, if you have actually learned about business studies, in most cases, business studies questions, they are based on scenarios. Why are they based on scenarios? Because we are dealing with different set of businesses. So even when you are done with your grade 12 or you have done writing your business studies, then you'll be faced with different set of problems that are facing different businesses. So now, and that is why in most cases we deal with scenarios. Okay, right. So now Amandla traders, remember whenever we talk of the word trade or there's any word that involves traders, that means that there is no manufacturing, there's no processing that is taking place. What they do, they order and then resell to the customers or resell to the consumers. So meaning Amandla normally buys from their suppliers and then they do resell to their consumers or those who purchase goods and services. Okay, right. So now Amandla traders bought stock worth of 600,000, but they insured it for 400,000. So at lost stock to the value of 90,000 due to damage caused by heavy storms. So now, remember when we were talking about the insurable risks, we said that the storm is one of the insurable risks, meaning that you can actually insure your business pertaining to storm. Okay, right. So now let's check out 2.3.1. Name the insurance clause that is applicable in the scenario above. So the clause that is applicable is what you call the average clause. Average clause. Good. So now let's move on to the second question, which is 2.3.2. Calculate the amount that AT, which is Amanda traders, will receive as compensation from the insurer. Show all the workings. So remember, whenever you calculate the average clause, you say that average clause is equivalent to insured amount. Insured amount divided by market value. Then you multiply by what? You multiply by the loss or damage. Loss or damage, right? So this is the equation that you're actually going to engage in. So now if we check here, we actually are saying that substitution or substituting will actually yield the following. We have insured amount. Insured amount, if you check from the scenario, insured amount, we have 400,000. Then we check the market value. The market value here, if we check, this was bought with what? With 600,000. So we have 600,000 as our market value. So now let's check the extent of damage or loss. So now the extent of damage or loss, we have 90,000. So if you punch this in your calculator, then your answer is going to be 60,000. Meaning 60,000. It's your what? It's the amount that traders will receive as compensation from the insurer. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question. Next question, we have 2.4. Then 2.4 is as follows. Elaborate on the meaning of debentures as a type of investment opportunity. So now debentures, we're actually going to say that most types of debentures can be traded on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Most of them, they actually been traded on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And also debentures are issued to raise broad capital from the public. So now here we're actually saying that most types of debentures can be traded on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Johannesburg Stock Exchange, right? So now let's move on to the second point. Why second point? Because of 4 marks. 4 marks calls for 2 points. So now we said that also debentures are issued to raise broad capital from the public. So now we're saying that debentures are issued to raise borrowed capital from the public. From the public, right? So now let's move on to 2.5. 2.5 discuss the impact of the democratic leadership style on businesses. Remember, grade 12s, I always tell you that whenever you are faced with the question that says, discuss the impact, this is two-way. You must take into account both a negative impact as well as positive impact. So it's up to you, because now the marks, we have 6 marks and expectation is to come up with 3 points. It's up to you whether you give 1 point for positive and 2 points for negative, or you give 2 points for positive and 1 point for negative. Okay, right. So now I'm going to give 2 for each. I'll give 2 for positive and also I'll give 2 for negative. So now for positive, this clear two-way communication ensures group commitment to final decisions. Also, complex decisions can be made with inputs from specialists or skilled workers. Okay, right, we are saying that positive. Let's check positive. We are saying that complex decisions can be made with inputs from specialists. From specialists or skilled workers. And we also say that clear communication ensures group commitment. To final decision. We are saying that clear communication ensures group commitment to final decision. Clear communication ensures group commitment to final decisions. And the first one we said that under positive we said that complex decisions can be made with inputs from specialists or skilled workers. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the side of negatives. Let's move on to the side of negatives. Sorry, grade 12s, we don't have enough space. So this is negative. Okay, right. Let's check the first negative. The first negative can be that not effective in times of crisis or when decisions need to be made. This one is not effective in times of crisis or when quick decisions need to be made. And also, employees may feel discouraged if their opinions or inputs are actually not considered. So we are saying that not effective in times of crisis when quick decisions need to be made. Right. So in this point, we're actually saying that not effective in times of crisis when quick decisions need to be made. So that is one of the disadvantages of democratic leadership style. And also said that employees may feel discouraged if their opinions are not considered. Employees may feel discouraged if their opinions are not considered. Okay, right, great job. So now let's move on to 2.6. 2.6 reads as follows. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Kula Enterprises, KE. Mary, a sales manager at Kula Enterprises, presented the sales of the business to various stakeholders. So she maintained eye contact with her audience for the presentation. Mary also managed her time effectively in order to allow for questions. So she needs to improve in her next presentation. So now the question says, quote two vectors that Mary considered during her presentation from the scenario above. And then this question 2.6.1. So now, remember, K12, when the question says code, the expectation is just to go straight to the scenario and pick up the sentence exactly the way it is. You don't add anything, don't subtract also anything. So now, if we check here, the second sentence, she maintained eye contact with her audience throughout the presentation. So this one is 2. This is 2.6.1. So this is one of the sentences that should be quoted in this question 2.6.1. So the second sentence, we have Mary also managed her time effectively in order to allow for questions. So here also this is 2.6.1. So meaning here we select sentence 2 and 3. Okay, right. So now let's move on to Let's move on to the next question. Let's move on to the next question. The next question reads as follow, which is 2.6.2. Explain the areas of improvement that Mary should consider for the next presentation. Remember, grade 12s, whenever a question consists of 4 marks, the expectation is actually to come up with 2 points. So now here, there should be, humor should be used appropriately. Humor should be used appropriately. And also, they should always be prepared to update or keep the information relevant. We are saying that here, humor should be used appropriately. And also we said that always be prepared update the information relevant. Okay, grade 12s, 2 marks. For the second point, remember the first point also 2 marks, meaning all in all now you have scored a solve 4 marks. So now let's quickly jump on to 2.7, and 2.7 reads as follow. 2.7 reads as follow, and this 2.7, if you check, that's the last question under what? And question 2. So now 2.7 reads as follow. It says, advise businesses on how the following criteria could contribute to the success or failure of a personal liability company. So now, if we check there, we are actually going to draw sort of a table on this question, and then we are going to check on the success, and we are also going to check on the failure of each and every concept. So now we are going to check the success of the management and also the failure of the management. So meaning we are going to have the success factors, and then we have failure factors. Okay, this is 2.7.1. So under success factors, shareholders can vote for or appoint the most capable directors to manage their company. So here, shareholders can vote for the most capable directors to manage their company. Okay, right. So now the failure can be that some of the shareholders may not exercise their voting rights, resulting in choosing the wrong person as a director. We are saying that some shareholders may not exercise their voting rights resulting in choosing the wrong person as a director. Good. So now let's move on to legislation. So now, moving on to legislation, also we are going to point out the success factors and also point out the failure vectors. Let's start with success. And then we have failure factors. Okay, right. So now, under success factors, procedures to form a personal liability company have been simplified by the New Companies Act 71 of 2008. We're actually saying that procedures to form a personal liability company have been simplified by the new Companies Act 71 of 2008. Procedures to form a liability company have simplified by the new Companies Act 71 of 2008. So now let's check the side of the failure. So formation procedures are time consuming, as many legal documents need to be prepared or submitted. So actually saying that formation procedures are time consuming, as many legal procedures or documents need to be actually prepared or submitted. Formation procedures are time consuming, as many legal documents need to be prepared or submitted. Okay, right. Grade 12s in this regard would have scored yourself 8 marks. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question we have question 3. Remember, now we are done with question 2. Question 2, the expectation is that you should have scored yourself actually 40 marks. So now let's move on to the next question, which is question 3. So now question 3 reads as follows. Name any 2 problem solving steps. Remember, there are many steps under this problem solving. To solve a problem, you must identify the problem. Identify where is this problem emanates. Also define the problem. Also identify possible solutions to the problem. Also select the most appropriate alternative. Also develop an action plan. And also must implement the suggested solution or action plan. And also must monitor the implementation of the solution or action plan. And as well, you should take into account or consideration the evaluation of the implemented solution. Okay, so now since here the question only needs 2, and we are actually going to give those 2 that are needed. So we are saying that here we have what? We have identify. You must identify a problem. Then also should be in the position to define a problem. And other steps can actually follow. As I said, there are many steps, but here I'm actually going to take into account only 2 steps, because the question needs only 2 steps. Okay, right. So now let's move on to 3.2. 3.2 reads as follows. Identify the problem-solving technique applied by semi-electricians in each statement below. So now you must identify the problem-solving technique. Remember, we have different set of techniques. We have brainstorming technique, we have Davy technique, and force field, and many more or the likes. So now, if you check the first one says semi-electricians are requested their employees to make suggestions randomly allowed in a large group. So meaning each and every person is given a platform to brief out or to suggest out their ideas. And under business studies, whenever people are given that platform to give out their ideas, we call it brainstorming. This is brainstorming. Right. So now let's move on to 3.2.2 grade 12s. 3.2.2 grade 12s read as follow. A panel of experts. The moment you come across this word, expect under business studies, especially when you're dealing with different set of techniques in terms of solving problems, you must know that this calls for Mr. Delvey. So let's finish up this. A panel of experts was requested to complete a questionnaire to provide solutions to their business problems. So remember, only Mr. Delvey in these arguments is actually pointing out that if there is a problem that a business can actually solve it at their level, they should now invite the experts that outside the business. So now we are saying that here we have what you call Delphi technique. This is P. This is P. Delphi technique. Okay, right. So now explain the correct procedure. Explain the correct procedure to deal with grievances in the workplace. Guys, remember a different set of workplaces or a different set of institutions, people there are some challenges that they come across, and to brief out the challenge that they're having to the superiors or to the seniors, it is not easy. There should be a proper flow of information from the complainer to the receiver. So now if they have any grievance, what procedures should they actually follow? And the expectation in this question is to give us how many points? 3 points. Why 3 points? Because the question consists of 6 marks. So now, what should it be done? An aggrieved employee must verbally report the incident or grievance to the supervisor or manager. And also the supervisor or manager needs to resolve the issue within 3 to 5 working days. And also should the employee and supervisor not be able to resolve the grievance, the employee may take it to the next level of management. Okay, so I'll come again. I did say that an aggrieved employee must verbally report the incident or grievance to her supervisor or manager. Also, the supervisor or manager needs to resolve the issue within 3 to 5 days, working days. And also, should the employee and the supervisor not be able to resolve the grievance, then the employee may take it to the next level of management. Okay, right? So now let's say we are saying that bullet 1, let me say the bullet 1, I'll write it up there. Okay, we are saying that an aggrieved employee must verbally report the incident to the manager. Okay, right. Another one. We are saying that manager needs to resolve a manager needs to resolve a one. The manager needs to resolve. The manager needs to resolve the issue within three to five working days. Okay, right. The last one, remember we have 6 marks, which calls for 3 points. So another point, we said that should the employee and supervisor not be able to resolve the grievance, the employee may take it to the next level of management. Should the employee and supervisor not be able to resolve the grievance, the employee may take it to the next level of management. Okay, right, great tops. Now let's jump to question. Let's jump to question. Let's jump to question the next question we have question 3.4. Okay, grade 12s. Let's check question what? Let's check question 3.4. So now 3.4 reads as follows. Rate the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So mesh construction, which is MC. So mesh construction specialize in property development. The directors and employees know the employment policies of the company. So MC appointed Khobolo auditors to audit their financial statements, and also management conducts their business in a professional, responsible, and ethical as well as effective manner. So now the question reads as follows, which is 3.4.1. Identify two King Code principles for good corporate governance applied by MC. Modify your answer by quoting from the scenario. Okay, right. Grade 12s, if we read the scenario, the principles that we have here, we have transparency as well as accountability. Where do we see the transparency? We see the transparency when it says that the directors and employees know the employment policy of the company. That is the transparency. The moment each and every person who is working for that particular company, be it a cleaner, be it a security, if you know the policies that are taking place in that particular business, so now you know that that business is somehow very transparent in terms of their dealings. Also, we also have what we call accountability as one of the King's Code principle. And where do we see accountability? We see accountability where MC appointed Khobolo auditors to audit their financial statements. So now in this regard, we are going to say that we have transparency, and then also we said we have accountability. Where do we see the transparency? When the directors and employees know the employment policy of the company. Remember, grade 12s, you must write this sentence in full. You shouldn't omit anything. Also, the accountability, we said that MC appointed Khobolo auditors to audit their financial statements. Audit their financial statements. Okay, right. You have 2 marks for the principle, 2 marks for the principle, 1 mark for the modification. Then all in all, you're actually going to score yourself. How many marks? Score yourself 6 marks. So now let's move on to the next question. And next question we have 3.4. Explain in which professional, responsible, ethical, and effective business practice should be conducted. Explain ways in which professional, responsible, ethical, and effective business practices should be actually conducted. If you check, we have 4 marks, and 4 marks call for how many? It calls for 2 points. So now the first point, there should be a plan, meaning plan properly and put preventative measures. They should plan properly, and they should also put measures that are preventive in place. And also, the mission statement should include the values of equality or respect. So we are saying that plan Vent properly. And put preventive measures in place. Second one, we said mission statement. Mission statement should include the values of equality. Okay, right. So now we are done with question 3.4.2. So now let's move on to the second question. Also on that question 3.4.2, you can also say there should be a regular or timeless payment of taxes. Also, they should draw up a code of ethics or conduct. So let's move on to the next question. The next question, we have question 3.5. So now 3.5 reads as follows: discuss the relationship between social responsibility and triple bottom line. So now here, remember, triple bottom line, it takes into account the profit or economic, and also people, social, and also planet or environment. So now I am going to do this. Good. So now you are going to have to score 2 marks for naming out the principle, and also you are going to have 1 mark. I mean, you are going to have 1 mark for pointing out the principle, and also you are going to get 1 mark for the explanation. So meaning here, we are going to say we have profit or economic, and then we also have people or social. And then we have planet or environment. Okay, right. So now under profit or economic, businesses should not make a profit at the expense of its community. Should not make profits at an expense of the community. So now people and social improve the lifestyle or the quality of life of their human resources or employees. Improve the lifestyle of their human resources or employees. Under the planet, recycle waste such as packaging from recycled material. recycle waste such as packaging from recycled material. Okay, right. So now grade 12s, let's move on to the next question, and the next question is 3.6. And 3.6 reads as follow. Gijima Mines, which is GM. Employees at Gijima Mines are allowed to join a trade union of their choice. GM provides their employees with education and clean water. The management of GM also wants to promote cultural rights in the workplace. So now, question 3.6.1 goes as follows. Name two social rights of employees in the scenario above. So now, when we check the scenario above, the social rights that we actually have, we have education and clean water. We have education and clean water. So now, from there, we have question 3.6.2. Question 3.6.2 reads as follows. Explain ways in which GM could promote cultural rights in the workplace. How can they promote cultural rights in the workplace? GM should employ people from various cultural backgrounds. So they shouldn't check someone's culture before they start employing. They should employ anyone from any set of culture or cultural background. GM GM should employ GM should employ people from various cultural background. And the second one, GM should allow employees to provide solutions to challenges from their own cultural perspective. Allow employees to provide solutions to challenges from their own cultural perspective. Cultural perspective. Perspective. It should allow employees to provide solutions to challenges from their own cultural perspective. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Great Talks. Now let's move on to question 3.7. And this question 3.7 is the last question under question 3. So now, the last question. So now let's go through the question. Suggest strategies that businesses may use to protect the environment and human health. So now, how can they do that? By minimizing pollution, by reusing or reusing recycling. There should be the reuse of the resources, or there should be a limitation, or there should be actually maximization in terms of our recycling process. Also, promote nature conservation by looking after natural resources. And also, water for human consumption should be tested before it is actually used. We are saying that there should be minimize pollution by reusing or reusing and recycling. Okay, right. Also promote nature conservation by looking after natural resources. And the last one, water for human consumption should be tested before it is used. Right. So now, grade 12, we are left with question 4 under section section B. Okay, grade 12s. Now let's move on to question 4. Question 4 reads as follow. Examples of non-verbal presentations. Remember, examples of non-verbal presentations, we can actually have tables, we can have graphs, bar graph, line graph, histogram, pie chart, or charts. Also can have diagrams, also can have illustrations or pictures or photographs or scenarios or models, and you can also have written, or we can have business reports, and also we can have flip charts, we can also have handouts or printouts. We can also have slideshows or PowerPoint. So we are saying that we have tables, we have diagrams, flip charts, and also have handouts. Remember here, the expectation is to give 2. Okay, right? So outline the differences between limited liability and unlimited liability. So the limited liability losses are limited to the amount that the owner invested in the business. Losses they are saying that losses are limited losses are limited to the amount that the owner invested in a business. So for unlimited, we are saying that the liability of the owner to pay debts or claims is not limited to the business only. The liability of the owner to pay debts is not limited to the business only. So we said that under unlimited liability, the liability of the owner to pay debts is not limited to the business only. While under the limited one, we say losses are limited to the amount that the owner invested in the business. In that regard, you would have scored yourself 4 marks. So now let's move on to the next question, which is 4.3. So 4.3 reads as follows: identify the type of benefits that the employees at Linda stores may receive from the unemployment insurance fund in each statement below. Remember, unemployment insurance fund, this is actually a fund that issue out the amount of money when employees are temporarily out of work, not when employees are permanently out of work, but when they are temporarily out of work. For typical example, if they are temporarily out of work in terms of or because of COVID-19, yes, they are entitled to UIF. Also, if there's a maternity leave or whatsoever, then they'll be entitled to UIF. So now, the first one says, which is 4.3.1, Jane, the administration clerk, will receive payment for 4 months after the birth of a baby before she returns to work. So this is nothing but maternity benefit. Okay, right. The second one, Ron received this benefit when he took custody of an 18-month-old orphan from the children's home. That is adoption benefit. Okay, right. So now let's check question 4.4. 4.4 reads as follows. Explain the advantages of PowerPoint as a type of visual aid. PowerPoint, they actually give a positive attitude, releases leadership potential. Okay, sorry. 4.2. 4.2, if you check the advantages of PowerPoint, it is very easy to combine with sound or actually video clips. Also, slides can enhance the facts and summarize information. Easy. To combine with sound clips. Meaning when you are doing the presentation using PowerPoint, you can actually put some sounds there. Also, you are saying that slides can enhance the facts and summarize information. Okay, right. So now grade 12s, let's move on to the next question, which is 4.5. So 4.5 reads as follow. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Island Enterprises. Jackie, the general manager at Island Enterprises, uses her personality to influence subordinates to work hard. She is mindful of the role of personal attitude in successful leadership. Identify the leadership style used by Jackie in the scenario above. So if you check the leadership style here, this lady is very charismatic. She uses charm. Okay. So now let's move on to 4.5.2. Advise Jackie on the role of personal attitude in business leadership. So now, enthusiasm produces confidence in a leader. Also, positive attitude releases leadership potential. In view, enthusiasm produces confidence in a leader. Also, positive attitudes releases leadership potential. Okay, right, great, House. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question we have 4.6. So 4.6 reads as follows. Outline the advantages of creative thinking. Outline the advantages of creative thinking in the workplace. Creative thinking is very important in the workplace. So now we should outline the advantages of this creative thinking at the workplace. So creative thinking improves motivation among staff members. Also, complex business problems may be solved. We are saying that improves motivation amongst staff members. Also, complex business problems may be solved. Right. So now let's move on to 4.7. It reads as follows. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Team Excel. Team Excel is a high-performing team that works on business projects. Team members have sound intra-team relations. They also pay attention to the needs of individual team members. So 4.7.1 reads as follows. Quote two characteristics of a successful team performance from the scenario. Remember when the question says, quote, the expectation is to come up with the sentence from the scenario exactly the way it is. You don't change anything. So here we have sentence 2 and sentence 3. Two and 3. So explain the performing stage as one of the stages of team development. So now performing stage, it processes and structure. Under performing stage, processes and structures are actually set. They are properly set. You know the processes and the structures that are actually in place. And also under this stage, there is clear direction without interference from the leader. The subordinates know exactly what to do without even asking a leader. So we're actually saying that processes and structures are set. And also, they have direction without interference from the leader. They have directions without interference of from the leader. So now let's check our 4.8. 4.8 reads as follow. Discuss ways in which business could deal with disability as a diversity issue in the workplace. So how can different set of businesses deal with disabled people at the workplace? And if we check, we have how many? We have 6 marks. 6 marks means 3 points. Businesses should be well informed on how to deal with physical challenged employees. Also, policies and programs should accommodate the needs of people with disabilities. Also, a business should create an organizational culture or climate that is conducive for people actually with disabilities. A business should create an organization this organizational culture that is conducive for people with disabilities. And also we said that policies and programs should accommodate the needs of people with disability. Again, we said that businesses should be well informed on how to deal with physically challenged employees. All right. So now let's check our 4.9. Suggest ways in which businesses could deal with pricing of goods in rural areas as a type of unethical business practices. So most of the businesses that are operating in rural areas, they don't follow proper business ethics and professionalism. So now, how can we actually suggest? So now these people should charge fair and market-related prices for goods and services that are undersaved. And also they should avoid unethical business practices so as to attract customers who are actually loyal. So we are saying that charge fair and market related prices for goods and services. So another one, they should avoid unethical business practices, attract customer loyalty. Okay, thank you very much, grade 12. Now we are done with question 4. So now let's move on to section C. So remember, under section C, we are actually dealing with the essays, and the expectation is to choose only one essay. So now, section C, answer any one question in this section. Note, clearly indicate the question number of the chosen question. The answer to each question must start on a new page. E.g., we have question 5 on a new page, or question 6 on a new page. So now question 5 reads as follows: business ventures, investment securities. Inside the box, this is the information actually given. So the extract reads as follows: investing in a fixed deposit provides investors the opportunity to decide whether they want to receive simple interest or compound interest. So investors must also consider various types of shares before making investment decisions. So some investors in companies that are listed on Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So now, write an essay on investment securities in which include the following aspects. So grade 12, remember the structure of the essay. You should provide with the introduction and conclusion. Meaning here, what you do, you have to provide with introduction, and also you must have a conclusion. So now remember, under introduction, you have 2 marks for introduction and also 2 marks for conclusion. So now your body is going to comprise of 4 subheadings. These 4 subheadings, they make your body. So in your body, these subheadings should be indicated, and they should clearly be indicated and clearly be underlined. The same thing applies also with introduction. Introduction should clearly be written as an introduction, then you underline it. So under introduction, we are expecting 2 points. Also under conclusion, we are expecting 2 points. So under introduction, remember, you must give the definition of the concept and understudy. So now let's check how we can actually start our introduction. So the first bullet under our introduction, we can say the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is a formal market that regulates the activities of the financial markets in an orderly manner. I'll come again. We are saying that under introduction, the first point can be the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is a formal market that regulates the activities of the financial market in an orderly manner. So our second bullet under the introduction, we can say various types of shares offer different types of dividends and risks associated with them. I'll come again. Various types of shares offer different types of dividends and risks associated with them. Okay, right. So now moving to our body. When we move to our body, we are going to discuss this as a subheading. And this as a subheading, it comprises of 8 marks. So you write the subheading, you underline it. It says outline the differences between simple interest and compound interest. I'll start with simple interest. A simple interest earned on the original amount and not on the interest accrued. Simple interest, we actually say this is nothing but interest earned on the original amount and not on the not on the interest accrued. But moving on to compound interest. Compound interest. This is nothing but interest earned on original amount invested, as well as interest earned in previous periods. We are saying that this one is interest earned on original amount invested, as well as interest earned in previous periods. So now, let's move on to another difference. Another difference, we can say under simple interest. Simple interest yields less return on investment. It yields less return on investment, while compound interest yields high return on investment. Compound interest actually yields high return on investment. Yields, we actually referring to produce or gives. So now let's move on to the second bullet. And if you check the second bullet carries how many marks? It carries 10 marks. And 10 marks, remember, the expectation is to come up with 5 points. So now, explain the advantages of a fixed deposit as a form of investment. So now, a fixed deposit is very important because interest is earned at a fixed rate, regardless of changes in the economic climate. Interest is earned at a fixed rate, regardless of changes in economic climate. The second point, the period of investment can be over a short, medium, or long term. The second one, we are saying the period of investment can be over a short or medium or long term. So another point, we can say investors can choose the investment period that suits them. Investors can choose the investment period that suits them. And also, another point, we can say the principal amount plus interest earned is paid out on the maturity date. The principal amount plus interest earned is paid out on the maturity date. Okay, right. So now, another point, which is the last point, we can actually say that investors can earn better return on investment than on any ordinary saving account. Investors can earn a better return on investment rather than on an ordinary savings account. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next what? Let's move on to the next bullet, which is discuss any 3 types of shares. So in this one of our discussion of any 3 types of shares, you mentioned the shares, you get 2 marks, discussion 4 marks. All in all, when we discuss these shares, the expectation is that per each and every share, you are going to do what? You are going to score yourself 6 marks. So all in all, in this regard, this question carries 16 marks. Okay, right. So now let's check the first type of share. The first type of share we have ordinary shares. Ordinary shares. So now ordinary shares only receive dividends when profit is made. Ordinary shares only receive dividends when profit is made. And these ordinary shares normally, the higher the net profit, the higher the dividends. Normally, the higher the net profit, the higher the dividends. So now we also have another type of a share that is called preference shares. So preference shares, dividends are payable according to the type of preference share. Dividends are paid according to the type of preference share. And also voting rights are restricted to particular circumstances or resolutions. Voting rights are restricted to particular circumstances or actually resolutions. So now let's move on to another type of share. Another type of share, we have founders share. 2 marks for founders share. And then this founders share issued to the founders and incorporators or promoters of the company. It is issued to the founders or incorporators or promoters of the company. And also, these are founders' shares holders. They receive dividends after all other shareholders were paid. They receive dividends after all other shareholders were actually paid. So the last type of a share, we have bonus shares. Bonus shares, the payment is actually done in the form of shares to shareholders. Payment is done in the form of shares to shareholders. So also issued as compensation for unpaid dividends. It is actually issued as compensation for unpaid dividends. So now, meaning here, we have actually discussed 4 types of shares. We did explain ordinary shares, 2 marks for that, and explanation. We also explained preference shares, and also explained founders shares, and lastly, we explained bonus shares. If you add, the summation is going to be 16 marks. So, okay, right. So now let's move on to the last bullet, where it says advise businesses on the functions of the Johannesburg Security Exchange. Okay, right. So now this question carries 12 marks. 12 marks. So the expectation here is to come up with 6 points. So now we can say one of the functions is that shares are valued and assessed by experts. Shares are valued and assessed by experts. Also, acts as a link between investors and public companies. Johannesburg Stock Exchange acts as a link between investors and public companies. Also, Johannesburg Stock Exchange regulates the market for trading in shares. It regulates the market for trading in shares. That is point number 3. Point number 4, plans, researches, and advises on investment possibilities. It plans, it researches, and advises investors or even those who are selling shares on investment possibilities. Also, it does ensure that the market operates in a transparent manner. It does ensure that the market operates in a transparent manner. Also, the last one, it provides protection for investors through the strict rules or legislation. It does provide protection for investors through strict rules or legislation. Okay, so in this regard now, we have done with our body. Now we come to conclusion. Remember, grade 12, when it comes to conclusion is either you get or you score 2 marks or 0. Go big or go home. So now, under this one, I'm actually going to give you 2 points under conclusion. And also remember, whenever you are dealing with the conclusion, you should make sure that any point that you are going to outline under conclusion doesn't form part of your body. Okay, right. So now the first point, we can actually say that the knowledge of simple interest and compound interest will allow an investor to do further research on the latest development in investment opportunities. We're actually saying that the knowledge of simple interest and compound interest will allow any investor to do further research on the latest development in investment opportunities. So now, the last but not the least point under our conclusion, we can actually say that a better understanding of different types of shares may enable investors to choose the best type of investment. A better understanding of different types of shares may enable investors to choose the best type of investment. Okay, right. Grade 12s, at this juncture, we're actually done with question 5. Now we must jump on to the last question, which is question 6. Okay, right. So now under question 6, if you can actually see question 6. Question 6, it is business roles or social responsibility. So now let's check the given extract under this one. Businesses are expected to make meaningful contributions to communities through corporate social responsibility programs or corporate social investment projects. So they are also expected to improve the well-being of their employees in the workplace. So socioeconomic issues such as HIV or AIDS require businesses to develop strategies to deal with these issues. Okay, right. So now writing is on social responsibility and corporate social responsibility, in which you include the following aspects. So now grade 12, if you still remember, I said that the structure of the essay under business studies is straightforward. Once you are given with these four bullets, you know that these 4 bullets are going to form part of your body, and each and every subheading should be indicated inside your body, and it should neatly be underlined. We have introduction, and then we have conclusion. Remember, introduction 2 marks, and then conclusion 2 marks, and then here we have 2 points, and then also here we have 2 points. Okay, right. So now let's check under our introduction what we can actually indicate under our introduction. So now remember our introduction, as I said earlier, that you should always make sure that you provide with 2 points. So now we can structure our introduction as follows, or we can initiate it as follows. Bullet number 1, HIV or AIDS pose many challenges to businesses and may affect their sales and productivity. That is the first bullet. HIV or AIDS pose many challenges to businesses, and this may affect their sales and productivity. So the second bullet, we can actually go as follows. Corporate social responsibility enables businesses to consider the impact of their operation on both the internal and external stakeholders. I'll come again. Corporate social responsibility enables businesses to consider the impact of their operation on both the internal and external stakeholders. Okay, right. So now, grade 12, let's now move on to the second what? The second bullet, but now in your board, this is supposed to be the first bullet. So this comprises of 8 marks. And then under these 8 marks, remember, the expectation is to come up with 4 points. So the first point can be corporate social investment projects are long-term investment. Most of the corporate social investment projects are of a long-term investment. That is number 1. Number 2, corporate social investment reveals a business attitude towards the community in which it operates. Corporate social investment reveals a business attitude towards the community in which it actually operates. So now, the third one, corporate social investment projects play a positive role in the development of communities. Corporate social investment projects play a positive role in the development of communities. The last one, but not the least, it is relevant to the South African context where socioeconomic upliftment is such a priority. It is relevant to the South African context where socioeconomic upliftment is such a priority. Okay, right. So now let's check the second bullet where you are expected to discuss the impact of corporate social responsibility, and then the marks here we have 14 marks, meaning you're expected to come up with how many points? You're expected to come up with 7 points. So now I'll take 8 points. I'll take 4 for positive, and also I'll take 4 for negative. because once the question says give the impact, it actually takes into account both positive impact as well as negative impact. So now grade 12s, this one you should actually pay much attention towards it, because what I've actually realized is that most of the learners, when a question says give the impact, they only consider the negatives or they only consider the positives. Okay. Where's my money? Eh? I'll give you. I'll give you. Wait, when I told you I'm not gonna take this without it. So I was tell Black Friday. I'm not gonna mark it. Please, I'll give you. I'm not gonna mark it. So I'll give you. Go call Stembis. Leave your bag there. Go call Stembis. Go call Stembis. Leave your bag. Okay, right. Grade 12s. So now, I was actually saying that when it comes to these types of questions, we should make sure that we touch on both positive and negative. Also, you can give or show the subheading of the positive and the subheading of the negative. So now let's start with the positive. The positive impact of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility promotes customer loyalty, resulting in more sales. It promotes customer loyalty, resulting in more sales. The second point, corporate social responsibility projects promote teamwork within businesses. It promotes teamwork within businesses. And also, it gives businesses tax advantages such as tax reduction or rebates. It gives businesses tax advantages such as tax reduction or rebates. The last one, but not the least, assists in solving socioeconomic issues like poverty or unemployment, assists in solving socioeconomic issues like poverty or unemployment. Okay, right. Those are the points under positive. So now let's jump onto the negative points. How is this bad? How is corporate social responsibility bad? It is bad in such a way that detailed reports must be drawn up, which can be time consuming. So whenever you're dealing with corporate social responsibility, there should be a detailed reports, and those detailed reports must be drawn up, and this can be time consuming. So now moving on to the second point. The second point can be as follows. Corporate social responsibility activities distract business focus from its core business functions. Corporate social responsibility activities distract business focus from its core business functions. Remember, the core of business function is to do what? To make profit. Even the aim to make profit, and also in terms of the distribution of goods and services. And let's move on to the third point. The third point, businesses find it difficult to adhere to legislation governing corporate social responsibilities. So businesses find it very difficult to adhere to legislation governing corporate social responsibilities. So now the last point under this corporate social responsibility impact, which is negative, it is difficult to accurately measure the effectiveness of social investment. It is so difficult to accurately measure the effectiveness of social investment. So now, let's move on to another bullet, which is bullet number 3, where you are expected to explain ways in which businesses can actually contribute time and effort in improving the well-being of the employees. So now, if we check the mark allocation for this particular type of question, we have 8 marks. We have let me verify the mark allocation. We have 8. We have 10. We have 10 marks. Sorry, we have 10 marks. Okay, right. So now, 10 marks, remember, the expectation is to come up with how many points? You're expected to come up with 5 points. So now the first point, it provides recreational facilities for employees. That is the first point. You're actually saying that it provides recreational facilities for employees. The second point, it does allow flexible working hours to enhance productivity. It does allow flexible working hours so as to enhance our productivity. Then the third point, it does make childcare facilities available on premises for mothers working in that particular business. We're actually saying that it does make childcare facilities available on the premises for those mothers who are working for that business and they come to work with their kids. So now, the fourth bullet, businesses can actually provide transport for employees who work unusually long hours. So there are those people in different set of businesses who normally go for abnormal hours. Remember, for each and every business, it is expected to have a normal working hours of 8 hours per day. And per week, the expectation is that those employees should work the maximum of 40 hours. So now, but now, if we take into account the overtimes, now per day, they should run a overtime of 1 hour, which makes 9 hours per day. Then per week, they're expected to work 45 hours. So now remember, all the information that is pertaining to hours of work, they're actually contained inside Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Remember, Basic Conditions of Employment Act is the act that actually give conditions on how businesses should run on daily basis. Okay, right. So now, the fifth point, it does establish coaching and mentoring programs for junior employees. It does establish coaching and mentoring programs for junior employees. Okay, right. So now we are moving on to the last bullet that comprises of what? That comprises of the body. So on this last bullet, the question reads, or the last bullet goes as follows: suggest ways in which businesses can deal with HIV or AIDS as a socio-economic issue. So now, if you still remember, HIV and AIDS is a pandemic, and most of the people who are having HIV and AIDS, they do produce goods and services in their respective workplace. But now, as a business, you should be in the position to know the best way on how to deal with this particular kind of people. Okay, right. So now the marks for this question, we have 12 marks. So now these 12 marks, the expectation is that you must grade 12 come up with 6 points. So remember, you should always take into account the total marks given per each and every question. You shouldn't just jump onto answers before you can actually deal with the marks given or allocated for that particular question. So now, let's quickly deal with these ways in which businesses can deal with those people who are actually having HIV and AIDS, because this is one of the socio-economic issues that can hinder the progress of the business if it is not addressed appropriately by that particular business. Okay, right. So now the first point, businesses should actually develop counseling programs for infected employees. Businesses should always develop counseling programs for infected employees. That is the first point. The second point, the business should conduct workshops on HIV and AIDS programs or campaigns. A business should always conduct workshops on HIV or AIDS programs or campaigns. Another one, they should roll out antiretroviral, which is ARV, treatment programs for the infected employees. So they should make sure that those employees who are affected with HIV and AIDS, they easily access ARVs. Okay, right. So now the fourth point, the business should always encourage its employees to join HIV and AIDS support programs or groups. A business should always encourage employees to join HIV or AIDS support programs or groups. Okay, right. So now also the business should develop strategies to deal with stigma and discrimination, because in most cases, if you check a different set of workplaces, whoever is having HIV and AIDS, the kind of treatment is quite different from others. There's sort of discrimination. That is why we are saying that a business should actually develop strategies to deal with stigma and discrimination. The last point under this HIV and AIDS dealing, a business should participate in HIV and AIDS prevention programs implemented in the community. The business should always participate in the HIV and AIDS prevention programs implemented in the community where the business is actually located. So now moving on to the conclusion, this is our last part of the essay. And remember what I actually told you in a previous question. Whenever you are dealing with the essay questions, in particular conclusion, make sure that whatsoever